G'day, ZiggyD here, and today I want to give you guys an update on my stun tank demon hunter build. Show a few of the changes I've made just because I don't want to leave you with that last build because I feel like this one's much more effective. I got some advice from another tanky demon hunter and adapted that to my build, and I've come up with a few changes that make this much more viable. I've even been able to farm some monster power 4 for keys where I was only doing monster power 1 before, so much better, and it just feels much better as well. So let's just move straight into the skills, and I'll explain how they interact with each other and the gear that I'm using. Now I should explain first that stuns and crowd control have been significantly buffed in patch 1.0.5, and combined with some of the changes we've had to the Demon Hunter, it's now much more viable to have a stun based build, and you can stun lock a lot of things, elites and bosses and things like that now. So I'm using grenades with the stun grenades rune and cluster arrow with dazzling arrow for my main stuns. Grenades will work against most things, but not so much bosses, and cluster arrow will work against everything. Now neither of these are 100% stun, but with high enough attack speed you will be putting out plenty of stuns, and you'll often see me stun locking elites, especially champions that are by themselves. So in addition to that, we also have Vault with Rattling Roll, which is a 100% stun, and it's used for emergency situations mainly as an escape. Next up we have Shadow Power with Gloom, which allows you to get more life on hit and take more damage. It's actually pretty crucial for this because you can maintain almost full uptime for like a minute or two, combining this with preparation, and this just allows you to be able to stand there and just keep attacking, which is essentially what you want from a tanky build. Every time you're running away with a tanky build is you're wasting time farming, so being able to stand there with Shadow Power is pretty good, and it's actually working quite well for me. The only times I really have to move is if I'm getting hit by a bunch of mortars or arcane sentries, or sometimes if there's like a molten explosion, and sometimes then I don't even have to move out of the way of those. So the next really important part of this build is the Boar Companion, which gives you a little bit more life regen, which is nice, but the main thing it does is increases your resistances by 15%. Now let's just go quickly look at my resistances here, and they're quite high for a Demon Hunter. I'm stacking a lot of resists on my gear, and I actually have pretty low HP compared to that. Now what this does is, although my effective HP could be higher if I had higher life, the life steal and life regen is much more effective when you have lower amounts of life, because it's healing a higher percentage of your life each time you're hitting something. So I'm able to heal up very quickly. Now just jumping back into the skills, we also have numbing traps, which will significantly reduce the damage you take, well 20% reduction against pretty much everything, because it works with grenades, which I didn't actually realize this when I made my last build, but the fact that it works with grenades means you're pretty much hitting everything with grenades, so everything is going to have 20% reduced damage all the time. Next up we have Perfectionist, which has been buffed in this patch, and besides the discipline reduction, which is nice for keeping up Gloom, it's also now increasing life, armor, and resistances. So having a higher armor and resistances, this has a really nice impact, and it also increases your life a little bit, which is nice. Then the final passive we have is the Grenader passive, which increases your hatred regen from grenades and decreases the cost of the cluster arrow. So you're just going to be able to put out a lot more cluster arrows, which means a lot more stuns, which means stun locked elites a lot of the time. So I've spent a fair bit of time looking at this and actually like trying to come up with a skill I could substitute out, and I really can't come up with any skills that I could change out. You could possibly change the Boar Companion for turrets, but the way the turrets work is they're not 100% uptime, where the Boar essentially is 100% uptime. The Boar rarely dies because you have such high mitigation. He also has very high mitigation, but when he does die, he's easy to resummon. The only thing I could think to substitute out is preparation. If you have enough gear that gives you enough discipline to be able to take out like an elite pack before you run out of discipline for Gloom. Now this is only very niche, and probably only if you have very high end gear. In that case you could probably substitute preparation out for something, but I think for most people, preparation with battle scars, which is the heal, is the main thing that you're going to be running. Alternatively, you could use the rune that gives you here we go again, 45 discipline over 15 seconds, which will allow you to keep chaining Gloom together without wasting any of the discipline heal from the actual preparation skill. Now I just use battle scars because I like the emergency life as well, in case my life has dropped from a lot suddenly from taking a lot of burst damage or something like that. It's just a nice save, you know, when your potions are on cooldown and you can't really hit anything for life on hit. So I'm just going to move on to the gearing now, just explain my my goals with my gearing and the main stats you should be focusing on. Now I recommend using 2-hand crossbows with as much life on hit as you can get. Damage, you know, having a higher damage is always going to be good, but focusing on your life on hit and attack speed is really going to help out with the tanky side of things. Now I'm using the Dinetta's set here, which I actually found one of these. I posted a video on that, which is extremely lucky, and it was quite well rolled. Which one was it? It was this Dinetta's Spite here, which is actually quite well rolled, and that's helped me out a lot. So I bought this Dinetta's Revenge for quite cheap actually. I think it was only like 800,000. Now both of these could be upgraded to better rolls from this set, but I don't think I'll ever actually be changing from these crossbows from this set, just because they're too well set up for this build. Now if you don't want to get a Dinetta's set though, you could easily use 2-hand crossbows with life on hit. You could even socket them with gems for life on hit, or you could even use a bow and a quiver would also work quite well, but I prefer the hand crossbows for the extra, just for the extra life on hit and attack speed there. So my total life on hit is actually probably higher than what you'll need. I've got 1400 life on hit here. You could easily do, I was doing this easily with 800 earlier. And this is just achieved through a combination of the weapons, and I've got the ring there with some life on hit, and possibly you can also get quite a bit of life on hit on an amulet, which I don't actually have. Now as I mentioned in the skills, the next stat you want to be really focusing on is your all resist. So getting all resist as much as you can on other stuff, even sacrificing some vitality to get all resist is going to be really good, because that's really boosted by that Boar Companion. 15% extra all resist is a lot. Now the next piece, which I actually think is pretty crucial, is the Inquisitor Legendary Cloak here. You could use another cloak that achieves the same thing, but I feel like this one works really well with the high all resists I've got here, the life regen, dexterity, vitality. This is just really perfect for this build. You can get better cloaks than this, or better armor, but the increased grenade damage is really the key point of this piece of armor. Now these are actually pretty cheap. You can get these easily for under $1 million. I think I got this for, I bid on this and got it for something like 600,000 or less than 800,000. So very affordable, very affordable. This is pretty much all around. This is a pretty budget set. You could easily buy everything, even with decent rolls, for under 10 million. Now just going over each of my gear quickly, just noticing I'm stacking as much dexterity. I've even got some intelligence on my gear for extra all resist, high all resist rolls, you know, a little bit of crit chance and crit damage, lots of dexterity there, just trying to get out that, pump up that damage. That's probably what I'm going to be focusing on in the future as well with my gearing. I'm pretty happy with things survivability wise, but I want to be able to put out a bit more damage so I can take on the higher monster powers more effectively. So upgrading my rings will probably be the main thing I'll be going for, and then just slowly upgrading each piece as much as I can. So, you know, saving up a fair few million and going for big upgrades on those gear pieces there. So attack speed on the gloves is pretty important for your life on hit. You want to be maxing that as much as you can. And Vile Ward is probably the best in slot for any class, for any shoulders. So if you can save up for a good Vile Ward, then it's well worth it. This is actually a pretty badly rolled one, really, but it achieves what I want it to achieve. It was fairly cheap as far as Vile Wards go, a couple million maybe. The high intelligence and resist all is just stacking up there, and it's got pretty decent armor there, which helps out with the other passive as well, and a little bit of life regen is nice. So the last thing I'm just using there is Firewalkers. Nothing really too special about those. You can pretty much use any other boots. I just bought these because they were nice and tanky, reduced melee attacks, and I quite like the the ground burning animation. That's a personal thing that I like. I like being able to walk against barrels and having them die. So I think that's pretty much everything gearing and skill wise. If you have any questions about any of that, or what you should be focusing on, or even if you want to link me your character profile, say, so I can have a look and tell you what adjustments you might need to make for your Demon Hunter to achieve this sort of build, then feel free to link it in the comments or something like that, or send me a link through the YouTube inbox would probably actually be better. So now I'm going to jump into some footage of just farming. I'll just cut around, I'll make it nice and quick. I won't be showing the full farming run like I did in the other video, but just showing you how this works in comparison to the other build. Alright, here we have our first elite pack. Notice I'm in the cemetery. I'm starting off in the cemetery now because of the event that starts is always in one of these. So you'll notice what I'm doing is I'm just chaining. I have to move out of the way of these arcane lasers, that's lucky. But I'll be chaining together Gloom as much as I can. So let's just move out of the way of these guys a little bit. But you see, these guys are also Reflect. I get a lot of questions about Reflect damage, and with high life on hit, Reflect is really nothing. Like, look at the amount of life that I'm regenerating from hitting them there. And that's just like far and away easier than what I was doing before. No kiting or anything like that. With most trash mobs, I just like to round them up as much as possible, and then just, if there's enough there, I'll pop Gloom, but most of the time I won't even need to pop Gloom. If you have high enough life on hit, you'll be able to out-heal pretty much any trash mob. I'm actually quite glad this Jar of Souls event has spawned, because it's a pretty good way for me to show off just chaining everything together and how well it works against trash mobs here. So I'll just spend that hatred wherever I can. This is a really fun event, I'm such a big fan of it. Wish they made a game mode that was just doing this. Survive as long as you can style thing, maybe with some sort of reward at the end. So just going for the bigger packs of mobs there. Your grenades sort of, the further you throw away, the further your grenades will spread out. So you want to just try and throw them towards packs as much as you can, grouping up. Notice I'm just standing here, and I'm also, you can see that I'm out healing anything damage-wise that these guys are putting out. Now, as things get a little bit more surrounded, I'll start popping Gloom for that damage reduction and healing. There we go. Now, you can actually watch that Gloom icon down there, and when it's just finished, you can chain it together like that, and you'll pretty much survive almost anything. There's no way this would ever kill me here. Unless I was, like, falling asleep or something like that. But man, this is fun. I also quite like how, using this build, all the treasures chained up, just piled up at the end on this little mound here. I'll pop that there. There we go, nice. Now while I head to this next crypt, I should explain a bit further what I was mentioning earlier about doing this cemetery first instead of the Forgotten Tower. I find the Forgotten Tower is a bit too unreliable to spawn. He's already dropped a rare. Goblins are actually kind of hard to kill with this build just because my damage output's quite low. You really need to corner them against something if you can, just so you can hit them with your grenades. But yeah, I'm going to the cemetery first so that I can get those 5 stacks and then just go straight away to the Key Warden. Incorporating that Key Warden in there, even on Monster Power 1, which only has a 10% chance to drop a key, you know, if you're doing enough runs, you'll eventually get a couple keys. And it's also it's guaranteed rares as well, so I just see them as basically free rares, and he's not really that hard to kill. So I'm going from here to the Fields of Misery and getting the Key Warden, and then just continuing on with my run in whatever order I want, so going to Leoric's Manor, the Festering Woods, checking if the Forgotten Tower is there. I'll still check. Alright, so what do we got here? Frozen, Mortar, War, and Mortar. War isn't actually so bad on this. A lot of times it'll actually work in your favour. Like, especially if, Frozen is a pain though. I managed to, no, okay. Frozen is a pain because it stops that life on hit from coming up. But otherwise, none of these affixes are really a problem. You don't really want to stand in Mortar if you can't. Let's see if I can get in between these Frozen here. Nice. So I'm not, you notice I'm not even popping Gloom at the moment just because I'm not feeling too threatened. I'll pop Gloom if I can't get away from something, or, you know, that Molten Explosion there, I can use that to survive that. Those Mortars are actually hitting me there. So, essentially, against a harder pack that's doing more damage to you, just chaining Gloom together and popping Preparation when you run out of Discipline, and then just keep chaining Gloom together. You can do it for a long time. So you can see now I'm out of Discipline now, so I could easily just hit Preparation and do another, you know, like 4 or 5 Glooms there. So I'm just heading into the final crypt now. There should be at least 1 or 2 elite packs in here, which will take me to either 4 or 5 stacks. And if I finish at 4 stacks, I can go to the Fields of Misery where the Key Warden is. Just avoid the Key Warden until I get those 5 stacks, because in case you didn't know, you don't get a key unless you have 5 stacks. You have no chance of getting a key without 5 stacks. So these guys are a little bit nastier. I'll just keep my Gloom up for these ones. Jailer's really not a problem. Extra health isn't a problem. Molten isn't really a problem. You sort of want to avoid the explosions you can, especially because these guys will be exploding as well. So I'll just dodge out of the way there, and nice and easy. Now just pop Preparation, pop Gloom again, and really no problem. Easy out healing. You can see how much more efficient it is to be able to stand in one spot rather than having to kite. I really enjoyed Bowler Shot, but I'm finding this equally enjoyable, but just far more efficient. Now something bad I was actually doing is I didn't have my boar up then. Occasionally your boar will die from the elite packs. Put him back up as you can, as much as you can, you know, like try and always have him up, because that extra all resist really makes a difference in your survivability. And you'll notice if you're dying a lot, you've probably forgotten to pull your boar out. Alright, so I'm at the end of here. I've only got 4 stacks, so I'll go and try and find the event in the Fields of Misery to get my 5th stack, because that's the easiest way to get your 5th stack. It's also the fastest way, so we'll go to the Fields of Misery, and hopefully I can find the event nice and quickly. I just usually like to head downwards and then start my search, because I want to find that Key Warden anyway, so if I run into that Key Warden before, then that's fine. I can just avoid him until I get an event done.
This beast hasn't been dead.
Okay, so here we have the Fallen Farm. I found that pretty quickly. There's different events in this place, like sometimes it'll be this one here with these scavengers, other times it'll be a bad event, and sometimes it's the one with the resplendent chest in the bottom, which is really nice. So either way, you're going to have 5 stacks, and you're going to get a 5-stack resplendent chest as well, and as well as getting your stack. So just keep chaining my Gloom against these guys, popping Clustering Arrow whenever I can for that stun, pretty much as soon as you have enough hatred to do it. Now, a lot of people like to just pop all of their clustering arrows right at the start, but I like to actually space them out so that I'm getting maximum amount of stuns possible. Oh, this is actually the chest one. Now, actually, I think I might be wrong. You might get your... We'll just wait and see.
This is no longer your wife.
This is hilarious, by the way.
Sometimes love means you have to let go.
Will I get the 5th stack from this event, or... No. Okay. Well, I'll get the 5th stack from this Resplendent, just see, it also adds a stack now. And I still got a rare, but oh well. I might have missed out on a rare or 2 there by not already having 5 stacks, but it's not a huge deal. So now we'll just search for the Key Warden. I'm just going to head south, like I said I was going to earlier, and fight these elites on the way, just because. Fire Chains also isn't too much of a problem. You can pretty much tank that with Gloom if you have enough life on hit. I've actually run out of Gloom, so I'll hit Preparation there. And just make sure you're not in the fields of those Frozen, because, as I said, Frozen will cause you problems because it will stop you from being able to regen. And unless you popped a Gloom just before you're Frozen, there's probably a good chance you'll die if that happens. I actually find this a really fun tanky build to play. Alright, here we go. So I just ran into him in my straight downwards run, but you know, sometimes he'll be off in the corner somewhere. There's really no way of telling. You just got to search this area. So I was kind of lucky on this run. Now he's pretty easy to deal with if you get him pinned up against something. The way grenades work is they won't keep traveling. So if people are running, well, got to get out of that molten. Yeah, you want to pin him against a wall so that he doesn't put his molten trail down, and so that he can't avoid your grenades. I'm just gonna make sure I don't get charged with this guy. I'll put Gloom up. I might not be able to pin him against a wall in this time to show it, but it looks like he's almost down anyway. You can hit him with those clustering arrows when he moves away. Just stay on the side where that molten trail isn't, because that will do a fair bit of damage even with Gloom up. So it looks like no key this time, but that's okay. I've already got 1 key. But you know, 3 guaranteed rares there. Now, as I was saying, well no, 4. I got 4 rares. Nice. Sorry, not guaranteed, but they are 4 rares. Now, as I was saying earlier, I would usually head on to you know, just do each of the different places in my normal Act 1 farming. You know, all of the nice places with lots of elites. Oh. But instead I might head on towards the Butcher and just show you how this works in practice against a boss. You know, you're not usually going to be farming the Butcher, but it's interesting to see nonetheless. Alright, we have Electrified, Mortar, Vampiric, Teleporter. Really not a problem. Electricity just does basically no damage against this. Chaining Glooms is more than enough. Mortar's fine because you're in close. It's really takes a lot of the weaknesses of the Demon Hunter and just covers it up. You know, you're not dealing anywhere near as much DPS as you are as a glass cannon, but I find this really fun to play, and it's also great if you don't have the money for huge DPS weapons, which are the most expensive things to buy for Demon Hunters, since it's what everyone wants essentially.
Not enough hatred.
Oh hey, I just got a set item. That was from Trash Mobs too, awesome. I was hoping I'd get some sort of legendary on this. Spirit Stone. How's it gonna be? 63, it's at level 63. I'm very unfamiliar with Spirit Stone, so I have no idea what this is. Whoa, so exciting. What do we got? Dexterity, that's good. Some Vitality, bit of Fire Resist. Not many monks stack Fire Resist. Armor, Crit Chance, Socket. Well, what's the set like? 130 Dex, Spirit Regen, Life per Spirit, Inners. Oh, Inner set. I am familiar with the Inner set because Demon Hunters often use the in his pants. So I have no idea what the Spirit Stone sells for, but I don't know. Maybe. Hopefully that's good. I'll go check it on the auction house after this. But I'll finish this run first. That's exciting. I'm glad I got something. Trash mob no less. That was good. Alright, here we've got our first Desecrator mobs here. Now, Desecrator will sometimes deal enough damage that you'll need to move out of it. So I've got Gloom up there. And it didn't seem like it was dealing too much damage, but you just really want to keep an eye on it. There's actually 2 packs here. So this is a pretty good example of how AoE stun can be effective. Now you really want, I haven't explained this, but you really want to be in melee. I think I'll get out of that Desecrator. You really want to be in melee distance, just because it maximizes the amount of those molten explosions going to kill me. It's alright, I'm safe. This is going well. This is going well enough. Now I'm actually okay. Now I'm out of discipline, and things are getting a little bit nasty because I'm walled in. That's right. Sometimes it's better just to attack. Now I was out of discipline there, so that's what you want to be paying attention to that, and then you do want to disengage for a while and just regen enough discipline and move in once you have enough for a bloom. But as you see, I was able to handle that pretty well without too many problems. 2 packs there. Just the AoE stuns from grenades and cluster are fantastic. It just means they're dealing so much less damage to you. So let's move on and attack the jailer. Now this is actually pretty funny, but I've got a fortune and a protection shrine here, so this should be a nice, easy, and profitable fight. Come on, jailer, I'll face you, bro. Let's do this. So this should be a pretty good example of stun locking here. So he gets a second every now and then when he's not stunned, but for the most part, he's not able to do too much to me. Yeah, we'll just move out of that molten explosion. So, I'm quite a fan of this build. I really hope it works out well for you guys. It was quite cheap to get set up for this. You know, I had a few lucky finds, but you could still do it with, you know, a couple million gold and take things a little bit more slowly until you get better geared, more well geared up. But I really hope this works for other people, demon hunters, who might not be enjoying the glass cannon approach. I know I had a pretty positive response to the other build, despite it not being as efficient as I was hoping. So I hope this really helps you guys. Alright, what do we got? Frozen Malta, Desecrator, Teleporter. So only really the Frozen I'm worried about on this one. I'm pretty low on discipline though because I've been halting around, which is not exactly what you want to do. That should have enough to kill these guys. Let's see, I was just able to tank that molten explosions there. It was actually the molten on the ground there that did most of the damage to me. I wouldn't, you know, there was no reason for me to stand there and take that, but other than to just show you guys how well Gloom and these combined defensive abilities work. You know, my gearing is pretty decent for survivability side of things, but you could easily get much more survivability than what I have. Probably stacking a bit more vitality than what I have at the moment would be the most effective route. Alright. Just regen my discipline before fighting these guys. These Dark Berserkers, their big hit is pretty nasty. I almost actually can't tank that, so you sort of have to pay attention to whether they're stunned or not, because if they're stunned, they're not going to do anything to you. But see, here I've got them stunned, like that's exactly what I want. And you know, if I see one of them winding up, I really want to hit him with that cluster bomb. So like he was going for a wind up there, and I'll get out of the way of him since I don't have anything ready to stun him with. But yeah, you have to pay a little bit more attention to those guys. It's good practice for just keeping an eye on things. Like you have to keep an eye on the status of your Gloom and also what the enemies are actually doing physically. I quite like fighting those guys just for that reason.
My pack is full.
I'm actually not going to have any room for rares when I fight the Butcher. Alright, here we go, the Butcher. This should be fun. I need to get my boar out. Should have got him out first. Oh. So this fight is still a little bit dangerous. If he gets you with a charge or at an unlucky time, then see, I just want to see if grenades stun him or not. It seems like they do sometimes, but very rarely. But see, that cluster arrow will nearly always stun him because there's 3 stun chances from each of those. So if I see him winding up for something, oh no. Alright, so I was able to tank that here. That's fine. Now I want to get some life regen up here. There we go. Yeah, but usually you'll try and try and interrupt his big attacks with the cluster arrow there. So let's just put a few of these out. And if you get hurt from one of those chain attacks there, just pop your gloom and use it to heal up. You won't actually be popping gloom too much in this fight, or just defensively. So popping it there before I get hit by that is a good way to tank that hit if you need to. So let's just keep hitting this guy. I'm not able to take him down super quickly because my DPS isn't super high, but it's still pretty effective. I've never had him in rage on me or anything like that, so it's quick enough. I think at the higher monster power levels I might have a bit more trouble. I'm actually able to tank those hits a lot better than I thought I was able to. That's nice. Let's pop gloom here just in case. He goes for a charge. All the time you can interrupt that charge, but if you can dodge out of the way of it, there's no real reason to. Now, going and farming the butcher might not be the most efficient thing in the world, but I quite enjoy the actual fight. I think it's one of the most mechanically fun fights in the game. Alright, I don't really want him to pull me onto that fire. I should explain how I'm doing the grenades and cluster. I just hold down the grenade button and then just after she throws, or pretty much any time, you can just, while holding the left mouse button, click the right mouse button and you'll just, she sort of inserts that cluster arrow in between her grenade throws, which is really quick and nice actually. I'm really glad it works that way, because it could be a lot more awkward than that. Well, that's it for that. Thanks for watching. I hope this has helped you guys out, and I hope if you've tried the other tanky build and we're having some success with it but not quite enough, then maybe you try this out and it works really well for you. I hope it really helps other people that are struggling and just don't quite have the gear for a DPS build, but just don't enjoy DPS builds like I don't. If you want me to keep doing updates on this, if I make any other changes, or maybe see me farming some later acts or later monster powers, then let me know in the comments below and I'm happy to do that. So that's it for today. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.